Hello and welcome to Technophilia episode 151. If you haven't had a chance yet, go back and watch last week's episode where we did the entire show while playing Minecraft and there were many shenanigans. By comparison, today's show is probably just going to be quite crap. Turn off now, go watch last week's instead.
Hey, today's show is going to be very good.
I feel like you're off message.
Still there? Alright, I was just testing you guys. I'm James Bruce, a man of many virtual hats. I'm joined, as always, by Monsieur Dave Leclerc. Dave, greet the fans.
I was just looking at the this new overlay that I made, and I was like, oh man, what if I missed a typo? Because now I'm stuck with it. But it appears... I always am scared that I'm going to spell our name wrong, because...
You did have a typo. You put Wolfie Smith with a O.
No. It's a zero. This font is just very bad at distinguishing O and zero. It looks exactly... I think they
sucks.
the font creator just used the same character, because your zero is exactly the same as an O.
Well,
So,
that's worthless.
Yep, sorry about that, buddy. You should make a better Twitter handle.
Also joined by Robert Weezerhan, and rather than asking him what he has played this week, I think it would be quicker if we just asked him something he hasn't played this week.
We're going right into that. We're not.
No. I'm just introing. No, I'm asking you what you haven't played because I'm pretty convinced you played everything.
Minecraft. I did not play any Minecraft this week.
You had enough, though?
Technically you did because this is a Tuesday and we played on Wednesday, so try again.
Oh,
This
that's
is-
right.
No, go calendar week.
Yeah, but
Calendar week.
within the podcast break, like the region of podcasts from last week's to this week, technically you did play within a 7-day period. So you can let's hear about your thoughts
Is
on
there
Minecraft.
actually just one game you haven't played entirely in your lifetime ever?
There's plenty of those. They're everywhere.
He hasn't
Like
played.
what?
I have not played Honey Pop.
I don't even know.
Honey
what-
Pop is
Fair
that
enough.
really
I don't know what that is.
skeezy-looking, bejeweled porn game on Steam.
Oh, okay, all right.
Well, I'm gonna go get it now.
James is buying that as we speak. That's right up his alley.
And Honey Pop, you say?
Hunie. I don't know. Just type HUN and you'll probably find it.
Probably.
UN? What are we? We are. Oh yeah, there it is. Enter
He's
your
on the
birth-
move.
What are we going with? 1900. So you guys can go ahead and chat about stuff. I hear you played some things.
Well, we'll start.
Right.
We can start with Rob, who has a list that takes up our entire Google Doc of what he's been playing this week.
Oh no! Well, I mean, I played. I didn't really play anything like super deeply because I was like down, stuck in bed, sick for the second half of the week. But yeah, I know I've been mixing and matching things. But I guess I should talk about the thing that's actually like the closest to new material because it actually has to do with something that was patched in within the last 7 days, and that's James, the one you've been waiting for.
Oh, no. Whoa,
Let's talk about the crew, you guys! Woo! Race cars!
Cars. They go in
Oh,
circles like
man.
this, and then everybody goes, yay, and they cheer because the car...
No. These don't go in circles. These go all over America.
America, that's a country. I've heard of it.
It's a large country, and yet extremely drivable in a virtual space.
Wow.
A new patch came to the crew and added a new multiplayer mode, elimination mode. So it's basically like four-person races, and each of you gets like 3 little shields, little health points. And so every time a full minute goes by, it checks who's in last place, and it knocks off one of the shields for that person.
Why
and
are
so
these
each
cars
time-
going through each other in this video?
That's just
Because you can turn off collisions because people are dicks.
Oh, okay.
Because, like, if you want an actual racing experience, you have to turn off collisions because, like, it's one of those opportunity cost things where if you have collisions on and everybody is racing cleanly, the more people who are racing cleanly, the more incentive there is to be the one guy who races dirty and, like, knocks people around. So a lot of people just turn collisions off so that nobody does that nonsense.
I thought maybe
Um,
they were like racing ghosts or something.
It's a race where you can't even hit other people.
Well, no, you can if you turn collisions on, but what it turns into
I've
is a
lost
big...
all faith in this game entirely. This
Well,
is
I can
beyond
see
stupid.
where, as someone who plays Dota and other online multiplayer games, I could see where knowing the trolly nature of people who play said games, I could see where you would not want to allow other people to hit you because it would ruin your fun.
Is that not part of the fun?
No, it's not, because then you can't win. They just take you out.
Well, when I play, I always try to hit other people. Are we not supposed to do that?
Well, that's because you're the asshole. You are that guy. Way to be the dickbag, James Bruce.
I am that guy. God damn it.
I mean, it depends a lot. Like, if you're playing a, like, circuit racing game or something where you're trying to simulate, you know, the environment of real racing. When you race against computer control, you don't have that problem because they're designed to race clean. You know, they're designed to race like they don't want their cars to be damaged. And, you know, that adds to the immersion. But when you're racing with other players, it's just like ram, boost, shunt, pit maneuver. Like, it's all a bunch of just nonsense. And the problem with that in a multiplayer environment is that there comes a point where, like, one maneuver like that can get you so far behind that you're literally no longer participating. You're just driving to hope you make it to the finish line before you get timed out after the first person crosses. And that's where it becomes unfun, is when the cars get so far apart that you're no longer even interacting with anyone.
Yeah, that's not cool. Nobody wants.
So that's why a lot of people end up, there's a little tick box that you can turn collisions off when you're hosting a multiplayer match, and a lot of people end up doing that. But anyway, new one of those, and as a person who bought the season pass, I get a bunch of new cars, so those aren't necessarily free, but I get, like, I started customizing my Alfa Romeo C4. I think that's what that car is called. It's pretty nifty. I put a big, like, black and white tattoo-looking lion on the side of it. It's awesome.
I tried to convince Jess to get the crew the other day. We were at the store. She's looking at games. She was looking at Forza Horizon 2, and then she was, she's looking at the crew, and she ended up getting neither. So
it's neat. It's not perfect yet, but it's like this is one of the issues with kind of the way games are reviewed. Is games are reviewed in their launch state, and the crew has kind of dramatically improved since it started. Like, the multiplayer stability is way better for instance matches, and they've added more multiplayer race types. Like, it's kind of a sad thing when a game, like, gets to a state where it would have been an 8 or a 9, but it's got to sit on that 6 or 7 because it didn't launch in that state. And there's something to be said for, like, there's no amount of playtesting that beats the sheer volume of the public playing your game. I suppose public beta, like things like the Battlefield Hardline beta, where you get to be said for those too, but there's also, like, as time passes, these games change and improve. But anyway, I still like playing the crew. I fire it up about once a week and go race and try to beat some times on my friends list and all that good stuff. Other than that, I played some Destiny and went running around the expansion, like, multiplayer maps. I haven't actually played any of the expansion single player content, but I checked out the new multiplayer maps, and they did a good job of making those feel very different from the existing maps. Like, there's one that's actually obnoxiously large, and they didn't have something that felt like that before. There's some really cool, like, tight corridor looking ones. So I'm pleased with those. And then other than that, my standard kind of MMORPG shenanigans on Guild Wars 2 and World of Tanks.
You are such a Rob. Just bouncing
I have to.
thing.
I am the Neapolitan ice cream fan of video gamers. I have to have all the flavors.
So you didn't play anything new, huh?
Well, I mean, that stuff that was patched into the crew, that's
the same game. I mean, you didn't.
This Honey Pop game looks amazing. Can I just say?
Oh my gosh! So we need to show videos of what James is going to play, which is a really porny dating sim with abrasive voice acting and Bejeweled.
It looks like a standard dating sim, but with a stupid puzzle game on top. It doesn't look that perverse. I mean, wow.
The fun part is to get it on Steam. They made a version where they add undergarments to the naughty pictures of women that you're playing to unlock. But then the developer literally said, by the way, here's the way to patch your Steam version to the naughty version that you can't get on Steam.
Oh, that's good of him.
Yeah. The developer was like, we had to do this to get it on Steam, but look, we know what you're here for. So
it's got overwhelmingly positive reviews. Let's not forget that.
I mean, it's basically Puzzle Quest with romance.
Romance.
Right. Yes.
I did look at it as far as like the puzzle game mechanics of it. It's actually pretty clever. Like there are certain shapes you're matching not to get matches, but to get multipliers, and then there's certain shapes you're matching to get access to your item inventory, which can get make different shapes worth different values and things like that. So it seems like a clever puzzle game. It's also like real skeezy. So James, I look forward to your review of it next week.
I have played far worse than this shit. This is tame. This is
so the puzzle, the Bejeweled mechanics. You can move the pieces anywhere within the row. It's not just one over like traditional
row or column.
Yeah. So that's kind of a change from the Bejeweled formula that I know and play a ton of because I always play Marvel Puzzle Quest every day. So.
And then when you're at the point when you're trying to seal the deal with the lady in your bedroom, you are playing a mode where your score is constantly ticking downward, and so you just have to match things as quickly as possible to get it up to the threshold while it's falling, and that's what earns you your lady picture. That's what earns you your saucy lady picture.
I found one of a lady in her underpants, getting a little more risque, I suppose. We got a bikini now, so here we go. We're embracing this garbage game. So this week I have been playing Injustice: Gods Among Us, which is a fighting game starring Marvel. that would piss people off. That mistake. Starring DC characters. So it's played like Mortal Kombat, in that it's that style of fighting. It's the Mortal Kombat style of fighting. But what makes it interesting is obviously the DC characters and the amount of story in the game. So normally a fighting game story is kind of bullshit. You kind of do whatever. You don't really care about the story. Nobody plays a fighting game for its story. But in Injustice, when you go through the story mode, you actually get like fully voice acted and well animated like cutscenes, and they seamlessly switch from those to the fight. So like you're Batman and you'll be talking to Bane or Joker, and then he'll be like, oh, Joker will be like, oh, Batman, I'm sick of this, it's time for us to do this, and then it just quickly phases into the fighting game. So it's kind of cool.
NetherRealm Studios, the studio behind MK and Injustice, they've been doing that. That's like been their shtick for a while, and it's been like, I really enjoyed the Mortal Kombat where they did that. They kind of like put the stories of MK 1, 2, and 3 all together, and you played through it. And it, like, congratulations, single player mode of a fighting game suddenly has meaning. Like it's neat.
Yeah, it's and I think it actually works better here because there's the Mortal Kombat story is kind of like, Mortal Kombat story, like, who cares really? But with
NetherRealms.
Yeah, but with this one, you're actually getting a little bit more. These characters have bigger backstories to begin with, so you can see right here. You can see how they're doing a cutscene. There's stuff, and then it's gonna fade right into the fight. But yeah, so there's a little more to the characters in the DC universe than in the Mortal Kombat universe. So the story is pretty interesting, and they're characters you recognize too. You're like, oh man, that's Bane, that's Batman. So, and it switches you from character to character in the story mode. You don't pick who you play as. So you start out as Batman, then you fade into I think the Green Lantern, and then Aquaman, and so it was free on PlayStation Plus last month, so that's why I'm playing it all of a sudden. Scooped it up.
When I played it on PS4 with my PlayStation Plus version, I found I was getting a really lousy frame rate in the cutscenes. Did you experience that?
Yeah, I did. I did definitely notice. Not all the time. Sometimes it was like, fine. Sometimes it was horrible. So
yeah, but like chug out of nowhere. That was so weird.
Only during cutscenes though. 60 frames a second, or felt like 60 frames a second during all the fighting mechanics.
The fights were really clean. Yeah.
Yeah, during the cutscenes, the frame rate would just go to poop, which is weird because the frame rates are obviously rendered in engine because it goes seamlessly from cutscene to gameplay. So I don't know, seemed weird to me, but what are you gonna do? I guess it's you could still enjoy the cutscenes, and as long as the gameplay is good, it's kind of a minor knock. It's not the end, not a deal breaker, but definitely annoying.
Yeah.
And James hasn't played anything this week.
I didn't play anything. I was mostly just checking out VR porn demos again. Um, there was this really well put together one, right, with a virtual robot sex by Reddit user Guys the Thermal Drill. I don't know what that's a reference to, but you should head over to r slash
Oh my gosh,
Oculus NSFW to check
I
it
think
out.
that might be a reference to Payday 2 because there's a
It sounded something like that, right?
yeah, you have to like drill safes and the safe drill constantly like malfunctions, so you have to come back to it and resituate it.
Cool. I say go check this one out because most of them really aren't that good. They're just kind of like really dodgy anime model imports with glitchy animations, and you're thinking that like how can anyone jack off to this? But this sex robot is really well animated, not glitchy at all. It's just a cut above the usual VR sex demos. It's definitely worth checking out.
That gentleman is on a motion controller experiencing this.
I just found a GIF
What are
of.
we-
I just typed in Oculus sex into Google and found a GIF of a guy banging an Oculus.
Is he banging the force feedback controller?
I don't know. Watch the video. Just enjoy.
I can't. It's a bit delayed. I don't know why I can't see it yet.
Take it in. Enjoy it. Let it.
That's
Let it.
Yeah. He's banging the. That's called a Falcon Ink.
Of course it
Falcon.
is.
They're not for sale anymore,
No.
and it's also a really bad way to use it because it messes up the actuators. Don't fuck your 3D controllers like that. It's not cool.
Don't fuck
Seriously,
your
these
3D.
devices are coming. Just don't mess it up.
Oh,
like
they're
that.
coming, all right, James.
zing! Oh, whoa!
All right, so that was our Oculus Minute, and it took a turn for the worse this week.
Apparently,
So-
we have a discussion topic.
Well, first, I one more thing I got to talk about is this Dota 2 Year Beast event, which
Oh, yeah.
probably seen people talking about on like every major tech site there is. People are bitching about this. It's basically Dota 2 pay to win in a way. So I'm gonna give you a quick breakdown of what the mode is, and then we'll go from there. So what it is you get basically, you know how the game has creeps. They spawn and they go and they fight each other, and then that's the main mechanic of the game. So every 5 minutes this spawns a super creep, which is the Year Beast. The Year Beast comes in and their Year Beast comes in, and the two kind of they'll go down a particular lane. You can teleport them to other lanes, spending your points to do it, and then they fight. And you end up, it plays like a normal Dota game. You either win or you lose, just like you would a normal game. You know, you push and whatever. And that's about the gist of it. Now, where everybody's getting angry is that these points that you get to upgrade your Year Beast and to use his abilities, you can buy them. So theoretically, you could spend like $30 and just have a super strong beast and win this mode every time, which is pissing everybody off. But the whole point of this mode is if you win it, you automatically get a cosmetic item set at random. So it's pay to win hats that you pay to buy anyway. The games don't count, like they're not official games that count on your ranked record or anything like that. It's strictly you win this game, you get a set of hats. So yes, it is kind of pay to win, but it is not pay to win in like the core Dota mechanics. So I don't quite understand what everybody's getting so mad about. It only happens every few hours for 15 minutes. You can just ignore it and never play it, and then sure, you won't win any hats, but you also have nothing to bitch about. You can keep playing your normal Dota games and buying your hats in the way you always bought your hats. So I don't understand what the hubbaloo is all about, why everybody's going apeshit over this stupid mode just because I guess they feel they are not getting a fair shake at winning their hats. I don't know.
But even when this occasional mode pops up, do you like if you want to play a game in that time frame, do you have to play Year Beast mode?
Originally you did, and that was one of the other things that people bitched about, so they fixed it so you can now just play a regular game if you don't want to play the Year Beast. The original logic was like, well, it's only 15 minutes, just wait 15 minutes and then search for a normal game. But everyone's like, no, if I'm on my lunch break and I have 1 hour and 30 minutes and I need every minute of that to squeeze in a Dota game, I don't want to wait 15 minutes, and that's understandable. So they, Valve being a company that listens, fixed it. So
Okay. Well, there's looking at this.
Right now, what you're kind of seeing is a normal game because I couldn't find when the beast actually spawns in this thing. Oh, here he is. He's up now. So you see the guy. Move your camera, person controlling this. There you go. That's the beast right there. So
Yeah,
and then
it's very much a Chinese New Year kind of event. It's interesting that the pay to win Dota 2 element should come as a celebration of Chinese New Year, where China is like the country where pay to win is basically generally accepted.
yeah, that is kind of funny.
But that this is so. I've talked about before how I read very widely about the free to play market and how this stuff works, and this is Valve doing something that's kind of considered one of the best practices for free to play games, where one of the big pieces of advice I've been reading over and over again is have at least some element of your microtransaction shop be something where purchasing more of it is literally always better. So that you do have an infinite money hole for your whales to throw money at.
Yeah.
And so this sounds like that thing where it's like, the more money I throw at this beast, the more powerful it gets. And it's Valve getting the maximum value out of the people who have, just like hundreds to thousands of dollars of expendable Dota money every month and just want to put it in a money hole.
Though it is only a temporary event, so it's not an infinite money hole for Valve.
So I wonder if this like carries over to next year's Year Beast, or if they'll do a different event or whatever.
Yeah, or because they do other events too. They do Dire Tide, which is the Halloween one, Frost Virus or whatever, which is the Christmas one. So it'll be interesting to see what it does. But for everybody who's getting angry and having a poop fit and going losing their mind, your normal Dota games are still there, ready to play at any time, and you can completely ignore the Year Beast, and your life will not be any worse off for it. So that's my 2 cents on the Year Beast for the Dota peeps. And that's all we'll say about Dota for this week, because I know nobody cares about Dota. Like, James took his headphones off. He wasn't even listening to that.
Sorry, some asshole was like calling me twice to tell me I had a DHL package that I'd already rearranged twice. What the hell?
I love getting packages.
Yeah, it's a laser projector coming from China, actually, for review.
That's fancy.
Yeah.
Where's my review that's supposed to be on a time-sensitive thing? James.
I don't know. Didn't they FedEx it to you yet?
I don't have nothing. Anyway, so we got a topic this week. What's our topic this week, James?
Our topic this week is... how much does game length factor into your buying decision?
So I put this on here because there's a lot of people talking about the Order 1886, which there was a YouTube video that came out that showed the game being beatable in 5 hours. And
what is that?
It is
like
a non-multiplayer.
Yeah, this is a single-player steampunk Victorian era type of shooter. Shooter, right? It's a shooter?
It's a third-person shooter.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of people who are angry that the game is short, in their opinion, being 5 hours being short for a $60 retail game. So my question...
$60? Wow.
Yeah, it's a full price, AAA game being published by Sony and developed by RAD, which is an acronym for something that I can't remember. So
is it only single player, or is it a single player in the sense of Call of Duty is single player?
No, this is only single player, right, Rob? There is no...
As far as I've ever heard, there is no like multiplayer deathmatch or anything like that.
Yeah, this is straight
that
up.
Does sound sucky then.
So that's the question is if the game ends up coming out and it is 5 hours of fantastic awesomeness, do you not buy it? Because Ready at Dawn is a developer, by the way, that I acronym to RAD. Does that stop you from buying it because it's only 5 hours? Or if it's 5 hours of really good awesomeness, do you ignore it and buy it anyway because it's good? That's the question.
I mean, I generally stay away from indie games anyway, which are like typically the kind of games that you might associate with a really short gameplay length.
Well, this is not an indie
like I
game,
wouldn't
though.
expect I wouldn't expect a $60 game from a big studio to be 5 hours long.
But so the example that I'm thinking of is that game, the new Alien game, Aliens Colonial Marines. That game was like 20 hours long. And just based on what I know, I haven't played it, but based on what I know of the premise of that game, it is mainly you trying to hide from the alien and not get killed. It's not a combat game. Now, I feel like at
Isn't that Isolation, not
yeah,
Colonial Marine?
I mean, sorry, Isolation. Thank you.
That sucks.
I feel like that game, if it was 5 hours, would be better. I feel like the 20 hours of just hiding from an alien is just, they add in the human stuff to make it filler. But
I feel like a game where you hide just sucks anyway.
But
I could do that in real life. I'll go stand in the cupboard.
It's a
That's
horror
what I'm
game,
saying.
though. Yes, but in real life, you don't have a deadly alien chasing you.
No, I can pretend. You know.
But so I feel like a game should be as long as it needs to be. That's my thought. And nobody complains, like nobody negatively talks about a movie if it's an hour and 20 minutes versus 2 hours. Nobody's like, well, the value of this movie is too low because it's not long enough. But with games,
Yeah, but a movie is $10.
well, if you and your wife and your child go to a movie and you get snacks, that's not $10 anymore. You're talking like what it costs to buy a game.
First off, I would never go to the movies because I'm not stupid or rich. I'm not going to spend $50 on a pack of popcorn. You
But
know?
people do, and they spend like $60 to go to a movie on a date, and
I mean, they're idiots.
but they don't bitch they bitch whether or not the movie was good or bad. They don't complain that the movie wasn't long enough, you know?
Yeah, no, you're right. But games have always represented a much better value per. But it's a different kind of experience, isn't it?
I mean, it is.
It's not the same rush of excitement that you might get from. Oh, maybe. It depends the kind of game you're talking about. Plus, I suck at games anyway, so a 5-hour game is going to take me upwards of 30 hours to complete.
Well, I guess there's that too. But if the game is super linear, yeah, I mean, I assume this guy was rushing through it, and it's probably realistically more like your 7 to 8 hours, which is like your Call of Duty franchise, your Call of Duty single player length.
But there also could be like collectibles and replayable hidden elements and things like that that make it longer. Like this is just a critical path to the ending kind of thing. You know, maybe that's it. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. If the question's about
not focusing on the order, that's just a new example that prompted me to think of this. It's more just in general, like how when you're looking at, like when I go to buy a game, I generally don't look up or have any idea how long it is before I buy it. I don't even really think about it.
No.
I mean, there's an element like when you get to these $60 for 6 hours of entertainment kind of thing, like no matter how good that is, I'm going to start questioning whether I should cross that line, even if I'm excited. I've started to prefer games that, you know, give me like Civ, where it's like, yes, playing through one game of Civ takes 9 to 12 hours, you know, here or there, but you're going to play through it multiple times, and you're going to play through it with random elements. Or, you know, I've started to lean toward. I mean, we've started to see people lean away from making the primary value point a linear single player campaign because it just doesn't sustain the product, and it doesn't keep the game off the used shelves at GameStop. And that's. I think I generally kind of like that, you know, as much as cool single player story. Either they need to come out at lower price points if that's all you're offering, or they need to be supplemented by something that gives me value, that makes me hold on to the game and keep it in my headspace longer.
Kaslin in the chat room asks, what does being an indie game have to do with length? And the reason I said that is because, well, generally indie games are the shorter games because they have, you know, 1 or 2 people working on development. They don't have that long to create a huge, long storyline. They tend to be fairly short. Obviously, it depends on the type of game.
Yeah,
but
you're not going to see generally, you're not going to see like a Dragon Age length game from,
I mean, they don't have
two
the funds
people.
to create like a huge mountainous world with everything in it. They only have...
It would take them 20 years to make that without the millions of dollar budget and 100-person teams working on.
Yeah, I mean, you think about thinking about the order. What if it came out? You know, what if it came out at 40, like at $40? You know, that would be a lot more easier to digest for such a short campaign. But
there's so much. If you look at it, like the tech of the order, it looks
it's a beautiful
ridiculous.
thing.
So
yeah.
you gotta figure the amount of time and effort to render such high detail characters and all that stuff. It's not necessarily the length of the game, but obviously there was a lot of work put into it, and they must they must feel that $60 is what they need to sell it at to recoup what they invested
I
for
think
all
one
that
of the
work.
shortest games I ever played was oh god damn it, I forgot it. Gears of War. That felt fairly short.
But that had a robust multiplayer in it, so
Yeah,
that
I never
had.
played the multiplayer, but
But it
I
was
was going to
there. It
say
was there from
the
the
time
value.
that I played, I was always playing it cooperatively with a mate coming round. We played on a big projector, and even if it was only 10 hours total,
I don't even think the
that
first Gears
was
was that long. I think the first Gears was only like 6 or 7.
yeah, that's what I mean, right? But even that 6 or 7 was well worth it, and it was an amazing game, an amazing experience.
Yeah, which is
So
that's kind of
I
where I
guess
stand too. Is the
right.
I'll take. I'd rather it be shorter and not filled with stuff just to make it longer. I'd
Right.
rather have the
If
stuff
that
that's
if that
there be
went on
really
longer, it
good.
probably would have started to grind a bit, maybe.
I think, like, we can ask it as a universal question. Does price to game length matter? And I think the answer for me anyway is no, to a point. Like, there comes a point where if you're at like the 20% or lower cost to hours played ratio compared to all other games on the market, then I start to look at your product as a problem. Whereas if you're in the 30 to 40% range, I'm less likely to take that into account, provided your game is still good. But when you are at like the glaringly bad end of the spectrum, then it becomes a deciding factor in whether or not I exchange money for your video game.
I generally
Right.
see. I think of. I think 6 hours is generally like the minimum that I consider to be like acceptable. $10 an hour if you do want to factor in like the value, because I figure when I go skiing for a day, it generally
What?
costs me about $80 for most lift ticket at a big mountain to ski. So that's $10 an hour for the entertainment of skiing. So I'm like, well, I do that on a pretty regular basis. So I should give games that same threshold, $10 an hour.
Well, yeah, and also like different hobbies have different accepted thresholds. We have like Android and iPhone gaming where the threshold is you must create a free to play experience with a cash shop or only charge 99 cents for your product, or 50% of the user base is going to assume that is going to just not even consider you. So it's weird how these different game markets have different expectations. A game that costs $5.99 on Steam will cost $14.99 on the PlayStation Store or the Xbox Store because people are more used to paying for $60 products, and $15 looks like a deal. It's
Compared to hookers and cocaine, I mean, it's fairly cheap still.
It's practically free when you look at it that way.
Yeah, right?
right. So it's a weird thing, and then you look at like another end of the spectrum where, like in Australia, they have to pay $90 Australian for what we pay $60 for here. It's markets are weird is the bottom line, and it's kind of one of those things where the price is whatever the market will bear. So it's on you to be an informed consumer and not give money to people who are giving you a bad deal.
Yep. So Scudderman closing us out says, I get annoyed when I buy a full price game and it's only 8 hours long. 5 hours for $60 isn't worth it. I can go see 2 movies for about $20. So
Yeah.
yeah, that kind of sums up the thoughts of a lot of people out there in the internet land. So the moral of the story is
Be
everybody
an informed consumer.
and everybody interprets time to entertainment cost ratio completely differently, and there is no right or wrong answer, and you are completely within your rights to be mad and completely within your rights to just not buy the Order 1886 or any other game that you don't feel offers the value for your dollar. That's the beauty of being a consumer, is that no one can make you buy shit that you don't want to buy.
Yeah, but yeah, it's problematic. I may consider that game when it gets a price drop, but I think the messaging is off about it too, because like all I've seen for it is that live action trailer with those dudes exploring a basement and setting off a lightning gun and stuff. I just don't.
Why don't you have this playing in the background, Dave?
I
don't
had
even
it
know what
playing
you're
for
talking
like
about.
10 minutes, but then I got bored of it, so I put it back to our pretty faces. And I worked hard making this damn new background. I don't want to
see that. I want to see games.
God damn you, I hate you. We're done with the plus we kind of veered off from the order and started talking more generally about the issues. So I cut it off of that. Stop talking about the behind the scenes stuff and just do your hosting job, you jerk ass.
Are we done chatting about this then?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. I think we got some news.
We got some news.
We're going to talk about Bethesda's E3 announcement, apparently, which we've got Marty McFly in the chat room here saying he works for Bethesda as a media manager.
I don't believe him, but maybe it's true. He's been in our podcast like every week for the last like 4 weeks. How has it not come up at some point that he works for Bethesda? This doesn't make any sense.
Oh. I demand a high Technophilia screenshot like they do for the Reddit AMAs.
Yes, exactly.
And I need to be able to match your picture to a face on Bethesda's website.
Yep. So Bethesda is, every year at the E3 event, they do, all the platform holders except Nintendo now do their big conference. Nintendo does their weird, like, Nintendo Direct or whatever they do now because the conference, I guess, wasn't worth it. And then usually EA and Activision and Ubisoft do a big conference. The rest of the companies kind of just show whatever they have at the show floor and do their own thing. This year, Bethesda has announced that they are having their first ever big E3 press conference, which means they probably got a lot of stuff to announce. So, what do you guys...
Isn't this going on like now?
In June.
Oh, I thought it was coming today.
No. It's the news element. The news part of it is that Bethesda has never done one of these before because it's generally only reserved for the biggest of the big companies. So now they want to be.
Aren't they going to announce today what they're going to announce at E3?
Oh, have they? Has that been said? I thought they didn't say. They were just speculated.
Oh. Well, this is a non-story, isn't it?
But people are speculating that it's going to be Fallout 4. So I don't know what do you guys think.
Well, it bloody better be. I mean, serious.
It could also be a new Elder Scrolls, but probably not, considering there's been an Elder Scrolls since.
Can we just call it Skyrim too? I don't like the name Elder Scrolls.
Well, they've never stuck with the same sub-name before, so I can't imagine that they would now.
But if they make it Skyrim 2, we have to go back to the continent or the country of Skyrim. Like,
I would love to with Oculus Rift support.
Yeah, but I'd rather them go to a new zone.
That would be the serious killer app for Oculus Rift, really, wouldn't it? I mean, Skyrim on Oculus. You can do it right now, but it's a pretty skanky, hacky thing that doesn't really work that great.
Well, Marty McFly says, we will see. We will probably implement it in any upcoming games if the Oculus became more popular.
Well, that's not how it works. You've got it in reverse. You have to make the Oculus popular by putting Skyrim on it.
Yeah, but what incentive do they have to make Oculus popular?
Well, they could be the killer app. Imagine if every Oculus owner, if they did it well, would want to get Skyrim as this AAA title, like one of the only AAA titles that would properly support it.
Yeah, but it's not their job to make people want to buy the Oculus. It is Oculus's job to make people want to buy it.
No, but if they did make it Oculus compatible, I'm saying they would have a guaranteed market of dedicated, loyal fans who would get it.
But people will buy the next Elder Scrolls game no matter what platform it's on. They could put it out on NES and people would buy it. Obviously, it would be pretty bad on the NES.
That'd be really great. I think that'd be awesome. I think that would be like a hilarious little here's this NES cartridge. Good luck finding hardware.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's going to be Fallout, and I know Bethesda was really pushing hard. If you remember a few years ago, they were pushing really hard to be like a publisher outside of their own games. They released like Wet and some other shit games. And they still have some games that they publish. So I think they're going to announce that they're getting back heavily into the publishing other people's games train again. So we'll see. I'm going to E3, so I'll be there, fools.
Oh, wow.
What else has Bethesda done?
Well, I mean, their main two games are Fallout and Elder Scrolls. Those are their main two franchises. Then they have the Elder Scrolls Online, which is not necessarily a huge success, and they published some games too.
Okay, so it's just Fallout and Skyrim.
Those are the big two. What else? Have they done anything else? I don't know. Rob, let's look it up. I'm gonna stall and say some stuff. Yeah, the pretty much. That's pretty much the main stuff. Wow, they've been around since all the way. They released Wayne Gretzky Hockey for the Amiga in 1988.
Wow.
Yeah, they've been around, man. They've been around for a long time. They made some Star Trek games. They published some Star Trek games. Doom, Fall. Yeah, it's pretty much Fallout, and that's it. Fallout and but those are two really big games. Those are like two of the biggest games ever. So anyway, that's Bethesda. We'll see what happens.
45 plus games, and you're just like, yeah, it's just Skyrim and
I mean, those are the big
Fallout.
two. I really liked Fallout, so I'm. They own id now or something, don't they?
Oh, I love Fallout.
I think they do own it.
So that means they actually published that Evil Within game and the new Wolfenstein game. They didn't make it, but they published them.
Mm.
So those were games.
But yeah, Square Enix publishes all kinds of stuff that's not Square Enix developed anymore since they bought Eidos.
Yeah, they own all the Lara Croft and stuff now. All the Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
They own id, so they published Rage and Dishonored. Dishonored was pretty good. Yeah, so Bethesda.
I have that installed. I've been meant to play that, but I have never gotten around.
It's fun. It's a fun, like neo-Victorian, steampunky, first-person stealthy game, or not stealthy, depending how you want to play it. I would check it out. I think you'd like it.
Cool.
Yeah. What's next, James?
One
Bruce?
news. Apple in-app purchases. Blah blah blah. Something.
The stuff's going around that Apple on the App Store has a featured section called "Pay Once and Play." So so even Apple is sick of even the people making the money off the free to play games are sick of that bullshit, and they're like, "Here's some games you could pay like $3 for or whatever. You just own it. There's no bullshit. You just."
Well, you got to think they had a lot of complaints from parents and things.
Yeah. So some of the games featured on it are. The Monster Hunter, XCOM, Threes, Minecraft, Thomas Was Alone. So, quality games that you don't have to do stupid in-app purchase crap for. So I just wanted to mention that it's just funny that even Apple's sick of the in-app purchase poop.
But that's super interesting, because when someone as big as Apple is making a section like that, it might be an indication that this is the start of the pendulum swinging the other way for mobile games. Like, I don't want to say, like, for sure, but
don't get everybody's hopes up, Rob.
Well, no, but it means that there's enough people who are like just disenfranchised with the free to play and the cash shop needling and all that stuff, that they have gone to the trouble of identifying one and done. I mean, it's a good sign whether it turns into a pendulum swing or not, but I think this could be a sign that it might start to be okay to charge $3, $4, $5 for a mobile game and just have a finished product. Square Enix does that. Admittedly, The World Ends With You solo remix is worth every penny of the $15.99 I paid for it.
Well, there you go. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it's a sign of things to come, and the world will be a much better place because of it. Because I don't like in-app purchases. In-app purchases actually put the iPhone, the first ever internet website that I worked for, in-app purchases actually put them out of business. Because
someone's telling me I should download Attila. Are
Total
they talking
War
about Total War Attila?
Yeah, the new Total War game.
But yeah, we couldn't figure out a good way to review the free-to-play in-app purchase games that just made sense. So the owner of the site just decided to just...
Plus, we can't monetize them.
He just decided to say, forget it. We're just going to... So that it was touchgen.com was the site I used to work for. It was the first ever place...
I always hate reviewing free games because it's like, I'm not going to make any affiliate money on that. Why the hell do I want to publish that?
Yeah, exactly. So
what do I get from this?
He said, screw it. I'm not interested in this anymore. So he just closed the site down and... So in-app purchases killed TouchGen. Good job, in-app purchases, you jerks.
Is this game just strategy, or do you base build as well and things?
It's like apparently it's Total War, but with an emphasis on being like an unlanded society, like a nomad society. So you've got a lot of incentive to take other people's stuff from them because you don't have a home of your own. Like you're roving. You're roving conquerors.
But do I get to build a base, or do I just control people because I keep controlling people.
You get to manage an empire at more of like a Civ-like level. And then the wars are these real-time, like thousands of units on screen at once kind of skirmishes.
Not so keen on that. What have we got next? We've got a new D&D PC game. Oh my god!
Well, no, this is pretty cool. So Sword Coast Legends was announced recently, which, by the way, sounds like a cool biker gang name. Sword Coast Legends was announced recently, and the thing that's kind of the big selling point for it is they're claiming they're going to have a dungeon mastering mode where you can either prepare campaigns for your friends in advance and then, like, you know, run the monsters and make on-the-fly adaptations to the encounters live, or you can just kind of take pre-made scenarios and, as the dungeon master, tweak things on the fly. So, like, you know, promote a monster that's just around the corner to, like, some champion or elite state to make combat harder. You know, add treasure just behind the door, things like that.
That just doesn't sound fun.
Well, that's going to be the key, right? That's going to be the trick, is whether or not they can make this fun, because it's deliberately pitched as this is a non-adversarial thing meant to emulate real dungeon mastering. That real dungeon mastering isn't adversarial. You're not out to kill the characters. You're out to tell a cool story. And whether or not
this isn't. This just seems like you're tweaking gameplay bits.
But that you will be able to type, like, when you make your own stuff, you'll be able to type text for the NPCs and things like that, and answer questions in a real, you know, answer inquiries to NPCs in a real dungeon master.
This isn't a new thing. Didn't Neverwinter Nights have, like, a dungeon master creation thing? I believe it did. Did you ever play that?
I think so, but was it a live thing? Was it a thing where you were, like, modifying things?
No, but by the sounds of it, this isn't really either.
No,
sure, you get to control the
you're dropping
minions,
shit in as they go.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
It's not like it's never going to be as free roaming as a real RPG, where a real, you know, tabletop RPG where you can.
But it's also going to
make the story up as you go.
It's also going to be less work. Like, what this does, it adds a level of granularity to the spectrum between those two, between the video gaming that's not, you know, super sandboxy and flexible, and the actual D&D experience. And I think that's a thing that we need, because dungeon mastering is an intimidating thing. Like, one of the things that hinders tabletop role-playing games as a hobby is that not very many people find dungeon mastering fun, and it is a lot of work. So if they can create a scenario where people will tell stories with their friends, but that isn't quite as much work and, you know, gives you more bang for your time buck, I think that's a good thing to have. Obviously, everything's going to be in the execution, but it's certainly an exciting thing to hear.
I mean, if you could say choose from a library of kind of places to take the party next, that could kind of work. If it's just a linear campaign that you've created and then you're messing around with the monsters as you go along, that just seems like it sucks.
I think there are intended to be elements of live decision making coming from the players, but again, you know, all we have is really an announcement in a trailer at this point. But yeah. It seems like an idea we haven't seen challenged in a long time.
I think if we did have a DM, though, I wouldn't be playing in a video game. I'd be playing in real life or on a virtual tabletop. Like, the whole point of a video game is when you don't have a DM.
But what if that guy is willing to do this amount of effort, but not that amount of, like, paper and planning and
I can kind of see me being that guy. But then I don't think I would enjoy this. I don't know.
James, you're such a negative Nancy.
I'm excited. I'll keep an eye on it.
I don't think they can pull this off well.
You're such a negative Nancy, James.
I would like to see if they did, but I don't think they could.
Stop being a negative Nancy.
We shall see.
So
I'm still. Don't get me wrong, though. I'm still excited for it as a D&D game. It looks friggin' awesome. I'm just not sure that the DM part of it will be cool. But hey, at least it's a cool D&D game coming, right? You know, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What's next?
Scudderman wants to know if we're playing Minecraft. No Minecraft. Rob would kill himself.
I wish we were.
Why don't they just make every 10 episodes
a Minecraft episode?
No. Why don't they just make a fully digital Dungeons and Dragons game that you don't need the actual books?
No, I mean they do.
That you could play remotely.
They do.
They have that?
They're
It's called
products.
Roll20, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, Roll20 is like that. I mean, basically at that point you're just getting into the realm of virtual tabletops. But I don't think anyone's ever done like a virtual tabletop where you could like go to the VTT cash shop, buy an adventure, and then have it like produce all the maps and like give you all the bubbles and lay out all the monsters in advance for you and things like that. That might be an interesting way to do it. Obviously,
Like, if this game could do that, that would be stunning. But I do not think they're going to achieve that.
yeah.
Well, plus this is still a game. I'm not talking like a game that you play like an RPG. I'm talking like you do what you do in a real physical Dungeons and Dragons. It's just all the bullshit is done automatically. You know what I mean?
Well, that's exactly what Roll20 is then. That's just a virtual
But
tabletop.
that's not official, right? That's not made by...
It's not official now.
Like, why doesn't Wizards put out, like, this is the... I mean, I know they can do digital stuff. They do digital magic. So why not put out, this is the digital Dungeons and Dragons? It has the
I think
built-in...
they're afraid. It's kind of the old publishing paradigm, right? They're afraid to switch to a new...
Yeah, but they do both. Like, they do both with Magic. You got people out there who buy Magic cards 2 times because they got to have their Magic Online cards and they got to have their real cards, so they buy them twice. I'm sure that people would do that with D&D.
I think piracy plays a big part because they're worried that once they put things digitally, it's going to get pirated, whereas you can't do that with a physical book. You generally need to buy it.
Well, you can pirate the PDFs, which is what a lot of people do.
Yeah, but it's a complete ass to try and believe me. I've tried doing that.
I mean, as
it
long
just
as you're not.
doesn't work.
Yeah, but now now with iPads, it's actually a little easier. Like you don't have to print
we tried
it.
that shit. That doesn't work. No.
I mean, it's definitely not ideal, but no one has figured out how to hack Magic Online yet because everything is so controlled. So as long as that's controlled.
Right. Every card is like a virtual object on the server that the server has to produce and track and everything, and
which they could do that with the books too.
But D&D is a totally different animal because it's got a history and a tradition of homebrew material behind it. Like, in Magic the Gathering, you don't sit down at the table and be like, "Oh, by the way, buddy, like half the cards in my deck are cards I wrote myself."
All right, think about this then. Think about this. What if they did this whole Dungeons and Dragons thing that I'm talking about, and then they adopted the Steam Workshop model where people can sell their own adventures, and then Wizards of the Coast gets their cut off the top, just like Valve does with their funny hats. Think about that, man. That is a money train.
Sword Coast Legends is going to require Steam, so I would not be shocked if that's their idea. That would be super cool.
The D&D people did a bunch of digital tools before. They had character creators and stuff, and they've got rid of that for version 5, I believe.
I don't like it. They should make a completely digital version. I'd probably play it, I think.
As far as digital tools for 5th edition, I think they had something called Project Morningstar in the works as a licensed thing, and then last I heard they'd kind of cut the Morningstar people loose and decided that's not the direction they wanted to go. So I don't know what's happening with tools for D&D 5th edition at this time.
So I don't see them going there at all.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So,
which is a shame.
There's your D&D weekly D&D talk, weekly stuff. That's not weekly. What's next, Bruce?
I didn't add any of this news.
You're the host.
All right, sorry. Last Guardian. I think that's a game or something. It isn't. The trademark hasn't been renewed by Sony. Tell me about it.
But then it turned out it was a clerical error that it is still in development. So everyone freaked out and said, "The Last Guardian's not coming." I knew they were gonna. Basically, Last Guardian is like Duke Nukem. One of those games that's been in development for 700 years. It's the successor, not really a sequel, I guess, to Eco and Shadow of the Colossus, right?
Which is why people are so stoked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they didn't renew the trademark, but now they said that they are still developing the game. They just forgot to renew the trademark, basically, I guess is kind of what it looks like, right? I don't know. I don't honestly I didn't care for Eco, and I never played Shadow of the Colossus, so I'm a horrible person for that, I realize, but I also don't care about The Last Guardian, so I don't know.
It's just kind of funny, though, because it's like, we're a giant company and we forgot to protect our intellectual property. Like, oops, we forgot to renew this trademark. So,
Yeah. How do you
Good
forget
on ya.
that? How do you forget to renew a So if I wanted to, could I have gone out like in that period and trademarked The Last Guardian?
Maybe if you were quick on the draw. I don't know if there's like a lapse period where they can be like, hey.
Hey, you can't like like they get like a couple weeks to in case they missed it, because otherwise it seems like that'd be mad funny to do. Be like, I own Last Guardian now, bitches. All your YouTube videos about it, those are mine. Well, I guess I
They
don't.
start cease and desisting people for giggles.
I don't own the content in The Last Guardian. I just own the name The Last Guardian. So all this giant goat bird animal that you currently are looking at, I don't own him. Sorry guys, he's still
Right, bored of this news. New skateboarding game.
Yeah, Tony Hawk. They've been saying on and off that Tony Hawk was coming back, and Tony Hawk finally, made it official and tweeted that not only is it coming back, but it is coming back this year. And he posted a weird poem.
Hopefully, this one doesn't require a cheap plastic piece of crap.
I'm pretty sure they said this is going back to the roots, so that's good.
Good.
I'm ready for a new Tony Hawk. It's time. I am
Oh my
okay.
god! You know what would make this so cool?
What?
What's that?
Oculus Rift support.
Son of a James!
I don't actually. Normally, when I say I don't like Oculus Rift stuff, it's more to troll. But I think skating on Oculus Rift would really make me vomit.
That'd be terribly
I was
disorienting.
going to say that would really be cool.
I mean, it
No,
might
that
be
would be
cool,
awesome.
but it might be cool, but I think it would make me vomit. And while we talk about Tony Hawk, let's watch a video of real life Tony Hawk doing cool skateboarding tricks. Look at him go. Look at Tony Hawk go. He's so awesome. I don't know. I personally, I know this. Look at that 900. Oh, he failed. This might be, I don't know, maybe sacrilegious to the skateboarding fans, but I personally am far more excited and want to see a new skate game. I like Skate better. I prefer the quasi-realism of the Skate franchise to the crazy over-the-top skateboarding on power lines and stuff in the Tony Hawk games. So if they made a new Skate, I would be way more excited than I am for a new Tony Hawk. But I'll take what I can get. Beggars can't be choosers, right? So I want to play a new skateboarding game. I got to take what they're making. And they're making Tony Hawk. Look at this cool slow motion. Oh, that's a McTwist, I think that's called.
Once again, I'd like to take time for our weekly apology to any of you who listen to this as the audio-only version, where Dave is ogling videos.
You're missing out on a lot of great stuff if you're watching. Koshi tweeted us this week. So Koshi is in fact not dead. I can confirm that Koshi is alive and well. And said, I love this week's episode. I think I liked it more because I listened to it rather than watched. So he actually enjoyed...
Oh, the Minecraft one?
Yeah, so he actually enjoyed, I think, trying... Oh, hey, you guys are looking at my Twitter now. He actually enjoyed maybe imagining what we might be seeing as we said stuff. So I could see how that might actually be entertaining in like an ironic sort of way.
It was Technophilia, the role-playing game. It all happens in your head.
Yeah, basically. All right, so we have one last story, and this is the only one that James cares about because he added it. James? You didn't add this?
I didn't add
It must
this.
be something I added then.
Oh, I just assumed the Shadowrun was James because I know you love Shadowrun.
I did back it, yeah.
Yeah, I backed
I
it
didn't
too.
add the
So,
story, though.
literally an hour before our episode of the podcast started, the Shadowrun Hong Kong Kickstarter finished at $1.2 million, so good on them. But the thing to note about this is that this is kind of a unique Kickstarter, because the way it was pitched is this game's getting made no matter what your Kickstarting stretch goals. And so, like, even had they not gotten a dime, we still would have gotten a base Shadowrun Hong Kong product because they've proven it's, fiscally viable, and I guess they've managed their money well enough to get through development. But it's an interesting precedent to set for Kickstarters where they can say, you're literally just improving the product by backing this. And good on them, because they're a proven dev team that, writes a really, really great, like the big strength of the Shadowrun Returns and that series of games so far has been the strength of the fiction and the really good and immersive writing and the storytelling from it. So yeah, it's super exciting. Shadowrun is, I think, probably the most lovingly detailed RPG campaign world I've ever read. Just because they think about it as a world first and a game territory second. You can buy source books for Shadowrun that have 0 stat blocks in them that are entirely just world information. So it's cool to see that, that spirit ending up in the video game and being rewarded so much by video gamers.
I like the Shadowrun game. I didn't play a ton of it, maybe 2 hours or something, but I thought it was pretty fun.
I still need to finish Dragonfall, but I did make it through the whole first game. And man,
it's one of the few games I've actually completed in a long time.
Yeah, and longer game. I mean, it's like 10 to 12 hours as opposed to like JRPG nonsense, but
there's also all the expansions and user-created stuff, so it's basically like an infinite game if you...
$15 gets you all the soundtracks too, and it's a low-risk purchase given their track record, so it's not like it's never going to get made, is it?
Well, the game's getting made whether it was the Kickstarter succeeded or not, so either way the game was coming.
Exactly, so I don't... Is this a bad way to use Kickstarter? I don't think it is.
No, it's a great way to use it. I'd rather that. I'd rather go into it knowing that I'm helping them do extras and not actually helping them make it.
As far as like the pitch for, well, why should I back if I can just buy it when it launches? Like, that's what the higher tier reward levels were for. People who wanted like neat little trinkets shipped to them and bonus stuff like that, or get their face in the game as an NPC or something.
Yeah, definitely cool.
So good on them. And when the first Shadowrun Returns came out, I streamed it on launch day and actually got some members of the dev team in my chat who I've since connected with on Twitter and still fire messages back and forth with. So proud of them for continuing their tradition of excellence.
Also, we've been informed that there's new Rise of the Tomb Raider screenshots have been leaked apparently.
Yeah, it's an Xbox One exclusive.
And they look pretty though. Look at them. Look, you can see them here. They're pretty looking screen. Ooh, look at the detail. Look at the detail. You can't see this if you're listening, but
don't care.
Look at those details. They look vivid and vibrant and whatnot. So the chat has requested that we mention this. So here you go. You can see it.
All right, are we finishing the show? I think we're done.
Hold on, I'm still showing you the screenshots, you jerk.
I don't care.
You're a jerk. Look at these shots. Ooh, look at that snow. Pretty snow.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching or for downloading the podcast if you're listening. We do also have a video feed at technophiliapodcast.com/feed/video, or we have audio at feed/mp3. And if you're not already following us on Twitch, we'd really like it if you did that, and you'll get a notification every Tuesday when we go live, as well as any rebroadcasts, and when Dave decides to stream random shit. And I promise to start streaming soon as well. If you're a company looking to advertise or sponsor the show, then you know what? I and Dave, at least, are complete corporate whores, and will pretty much do anything for money or free stuff. I don't know about Rob. He's probably got integrity.
Ethics.
Seems like a thing he would have. Any last word, boys?
I think that's it for me.
Here, fishy.